6 years ago, I had an accident. I was electrocuted and I had 750 volts go through me. And it's a miracle that I'm alive. Hi, I'm Pickles. I'm a disabled content creator and motivational speaker. 6 years ago, I had an accident. I was electrocuted and I had 750 volts go through me. And it's a miracle that I'm alive. And I was in hospital for 2.5 months and I had over 25 surgeries. And that's because they kept doing debridement, which is where they take dead muscle away. And I saw my leg was not in a great way because a lot of muscle would have gone. And so I remember my surgeons came into the room and they were weighing up the pros and cons of me trying to fight for my leg or get rid of it. And I just remember being like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I've seen my leg, it's not in a great way, I know it needs to go. I had a 12-hour surgery to have my leg amputated, and I also lost 2 toes on my human foot. It was an experience and a half, but I just really wanted to get back to my life. And I was constantly searching online for people that I could look up to that were further along the journey than I was. And unfortunately, I couldn't really find anybody. So the only awareness I had of disabled people was the Paralympics. So in the pivotal moment where the surgeons all left my room and I just decided that I am going to have my leg amputated, the first thing I said and turned to my parents was, at least I can be in the Paralympics now. And that was because I was quickly trying to find something that I could do now that I couldn't do before, just to make myself feel better. And I did try to do the Paralympics for like 2 years. I was training, but I actually fell out of love for it. And interestingly, I find it quite fascinating that that was the thing that I chose to go for. And I think that's because there isn't much coverage for disabled people except the Paralympics. And so I just assumed that. And since speaking to a lot of disabled people, usually people say to them, can't wait to see you in the Paralympics. And I think it's quite crazy because if you are able-bodied, that doesn't mean that you want to be in the Olympics, but people always assume that and put that on you just because you're disabled, and disabled people do want to exercise. So I share that online. I'm your average gal with a disability wanting to exercise and show the world that if you put your mind to something, you can achieve anything. And I think that's super powerful. So I'm excited to talk about disability today with the focus being film and TV. So when I first lost my leg, there was no one I could really relate to. I watched Breaking Bad previously, before I became disabled, and I knew about CJ, but I didn't really feel like I related to him. And I'd say only recently I felt like I could relate to a character, which is in Sex Education, and it's Isaac, George Robinson, the actor. And I was even watching it the other day. I'm obsessed with Sex Education. I think it's incredible the way, not even just for disabled people, but just the awareness that they're bringing for all inclusive groups is incredible. The other day when I was watching it, I literally just started crying because I felt so, I've just related to him so much. So in the last season, season 4, he was trying to get to an exam and he couldn't because the lift was broken. And I felt that so many times in my life. And to stand against that, what he did was, with Amy in the series, he helped her, she helped him put loads of chairs and tables in front of the steps and put the fire alarm on. And that meant that when they tried to come out to then go outside because of the fire alarm, they couldn't. And the whole point was to show that inaccessibility is really annoying when you can't get to where you want to go. And I thought that was super powerful. And that related to me so much, it's giving me even goosebumps right now, because even this year when I couldn't walk for 3 months, I had to go to the hospital and I was on my own in the middle of London with my limb missing, on crutches, so I already feel really vulnerable as it is. And I had to drive 10 minutes away because that was the closest parking spot. And I was 5 floors below the ground, and I went to the lift and the lift was broken. And it was the most frustrating thing because when you're disabled and you just have to fight these challenges every single day, it gets really frustrating because we're in an able-bodied world and we already struggle with our disability. So then to have to try and fight to feel like we belong adds another element of difficulty. And so the fact that in Sex Education that was highlighted made me feel heard. It helps break the stigmas and helps people understand what it's like to be disabled. And I think if people understand more, then they're able to help disabled people and know what to do, and it just makes it feel like disabled people and able-bodied people can be together in the same world rather than separate. I think it's really pivotal to have disabled people in film and TV because I know there are examples where, there's been disabled actors not actually done by disabled people, and it makes disabled people feel like they're not enough, the fact that they can't even fill their own roles of what film and TV is. And I think it's so important to have that, because if you're a disabled person, you want to have people that you can look up to and have role models to see that, you know, I can do these things. I am equal to able-bodied people. I can have these opportunities. So I think it's so key to just have the awareness. And it's good for younger generations as well, because it just gives people something to look up to. And I just think having representation across the board, having awareness, mixing able-bodied and disabled people together is just really important, because that's true representation of the world, right? And I think it's important that's replicated on film and TV. So one piece of advice I'd give to my younger self. So I'm actually huge on mindset, and I think the fact that I had my accident and I coped really well, I've learned a lot about myself, and so I'm constantly wanting to build my resilience to be able to deal with things that life chucks at you, because life is difficult, right? And so I'm always focused on my progression, and I'm very aware, and I love self-development. So whenever I'm struggling more mentally, I've got a paragraph in my notes that I like to read, and I write it as if someone else was talking to me. So I want to read that with you, so hopefully it can help you too. Life throws curveballs at you when you least expect it. Once you accept that, life can't hurt you as much anymore, because you know there will always be highs and lows. And if you don't accept the lows, you will always feel resistance. And with that comes sadness. Enjoy every moment whilst you can, because life is too short, so live your life to the fullest. Don't live for anyone else but yourself. It's your life. Stop waiting around for life to come to you. You have to go out there and get it. Grab it with both hands. Nothing in life will change if you don't change. Taking action is the main hurdle people never get to. If you're fearful, that's when you should go full steam ahead. I take fear as a sign to take that jump, because I know that pushing through that feeling on the other side is greatness. And once you take action, that is what helps you build your self-belief. Then those two things coupled together, action and self-belief, that is what will help you do anything you want to in this life. So to summarize, just check in with yourself, journal, ask yourself how you're feeling. Believe in yourself by taking action. If you're scared to do something, do it, because life is too short to not. You've got to make your life happen. I think it's incredible to have Disability History Month, because having a whole month to celebrate disabled people, it shows how much, you know, you've come along. I even said to my boyfriend earlier, like, I'm so grateful to be disabled in this generation, because years ago, that was not the way. And like, I meet people in my prosthetic centre who are a lot older than me, and they said that they've been an amputee for 20 years and never shown their leg, and don't even show it to their partner. And so the fact that this day and age we have a month where we celebrate disabled people and try and raise awareness, I think is so important, because it's not always been like that. And I think sometimes I take it for granted, because I'm really lucky that I was born now. I mean, I'm here today with Sky talking about disabled people, raising awareness. So I think it's really come a long way, which is incredible. I do think that there's still a long way to go, but the fact that we're having these conversations and making change and celebrating disabled people is huge. But being able to understand how they feel, or how to talk to someone that's disabled, because you'd be surprised at how people speak to disabled people, because they either don't know what to do or say or act, when actually we're just normal human beings. We're just different. And I think every single person in the world is different. We're all unique. So just don't treat us that way. Because there's been times where I've been in my wheelchair and I've had someone inside a shop speak over my head to my mum instead of speaking directly to me. And it's like, I can speak to you. Or like, people would come up to me and tell me I'm not allowed to park in disabled and have a go at me, and yet they know nothing about me. They don't even know my name, and they're coming over to me and telling me what I can and can't do, which I think is really bizarre. So with me doing it on TikTok and raising that awareness, it's incredible to have brands also helping. So like Sky today, and they have such epic brand presence. So to have such a strong brand being able to be an advocate for disabled people is really important. And I think that this is the start of change. And it's not even just having these conversations, because that's obviously really important, but including disabled people in the process. So I think having the support from Sky and big brands, I think it will help change that, and it's really pushing forward the change in society. And the more we do that, the better, really. So having, you know, disabled people in film and TV, even presenters, like actors, you name it, I think it would really help. For me, I think we would have reached inclusivity when I don't have to go outside and feel like I have to fight and feel challenged by my day-to-day and the world that is around us. And I think that'd be the most incredible feeling, and I do really hope that we get there. I'd love to know in the comments if you could write what you think an inclusive world would look like. And I wonder if we might have the same, who knows? But I hope you've enjoyed listening and hopefully learnt something, whether you're able-bodied or if you feel like you can relate to me as a disabled person. I really hope. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Sky for giving us this opportunity, and I hope you've learned something.